flipping this off?
Hey guys, welcome to another Talkin' Truck show. And again, we have Mr. Truck.
Yes, live in person.
Yes, and today we're doing two things actually. We're talking about the 2019 Ford Ranger.
Right.
Yeah, because the pricing and all the options have been released today. And I did a video on TFL Truck.
I saw that.
Talking about those things.
Yes, lots of little marks on the wall.
Did you like my video?
It was okay.
Okay, well, not great, just okay. But we're also doing Ask Mr. Truck. And this is your opportunity to use the chat room as well to ask us questions.
Yes.
And we have some prepared questions as well, right?
Wait a minute. There's all these things they can get if they do give us money. Look at this. Look at all this.
Yeah.
Super chat.
You mean, so what Mr. Truck is saying is you can always support us, and we have several ways of doing it.
And there might be in your lucky mailbox lots of lizards. Where it's iguana?
I don't know.
No. We're doing lizards, right? Lots of lizards.
This is what we're doing.
Okay.
For $5, we'll put
lots
your
of
name
lizards in it.
on the hood. For $10, we'll give you a sticker. For $25, we'll give you a jacket patch. For $50, we'll give you a hat. But today's a special.
Special.
Today's special. If you donate anything, or if you ask a question, a detailed question, we'll try to answer it during the show.
Yes, that's what's cool because the write-in ones we can get a little more detailed. The ones that come flying by on the live chat are a little harder. We're going to try to take some more of those because we couldn't get to them all last week.
Yeah, and also I need to open my chat.
You guys type bigger? It's pretty small. I can't hardly see it. Type bigger when you're doing your comments.
No, please don't use the caps. Please don't use caps. But here's what I wanted to ask you, Mr. Truck. 2019 Ford Ranger.
Oh.
How would you configure it? That's my first question.
You know me, I'm cheap. I'm an old farmer, so I would go with the STX because the XL, like I usually get, I can get a little more options for very little money on the STX. Some fancy looking wheels, and I would want, of course, 4-wheel drive FX4. I want that locker on the rear end. Of course, I want a crew cab. I'm not sure if I want the short bed. What is the next size bed other than that 5-footer? Is there a 6-footer?
But only with extended cab.
Oh, well, forget that. No, I've got to have a 5-footer. I've got to have a crew cab, and who over here is playing chopsticks?
I don't know. I think it's raining, guys, so I think it's going to hail.
Rain's pretty hard over there.
So I think we're hearing something on our roof. So that's questionable.
Well, cool. Yeah, so that's the way I would do it. I'd go STF. Of course, I want 4-wheel drive, but, and the important thing, and I'm trying to talk to Ford about this, I need the GVW to be 6,000 pounds.
Yes.
And, the Nissan is not that way on the Frontier.
Right.
And I think, and the Colorado Canyon R, I'm not sure about Toyota, but the reason I want 6,000 pounds is the new laws for Section 179 of the IRS tax code, that weight I can deduct the entire truck in 1 year. Of course, I can depreciate it over 3 years or whatever, but I need to have that so I can deduct it in 1 year.
Are you able to do that? I mean, does it go to 6,000 pounds?
Well, we don't know yet. I was trying to find it. Did you find it? I didn't see. You found it?
No.
GVW.
No. They did not release horsepower.
I asked Ford, and I did not get that
torque.
number.
They did not release any of that information.
So if it doesn't have 6,000 GVW, it's out of my race. I'm trying to buy a new truck next year, and right now it's in the race, but I've got to have the tax deduction.
So just a few specs on the Ranger. What we know is it's a straight 4,
right,
2.3 liter turbo EcoBoost,
right,
4-cylinder. We don't know
2.3, yeah,
2.3. That engine is also like in the Ford Explorer.
The Mustang.
The Mustang has it in different power configurations, so we don't know exact power. 10-speed automatic transmission is the only transmission.
Yes.
And then we don't know the payload or towing numbers or GVWs yet.
Right, I need all that stuff. But that's true. And that 2.3 is kind of a cool number that they use because they've had that for like 20 years in a Ranger. It was out there forever. Then it had 2.2, dual spark plugs, all kinds of configurations, 3-liter V6, 4-liter V6. And now we're going back to the heritage of the 2.3. So we'll find out if that turbo on a 4-cylinder is going to be enough or not. I mean, it could be for that size of a truck.
Yeah, for example, and thank you for joining our chat room as always. I'm trying to read down here. Jim Serrazio says, I want a splash version of the Ranger. Remember the splash?
I remember that. A lot of those were flare sides too.
Yes.
And those were cool. And some of those, I used to sell those to single guys, tell them this is your chick magnet, man. Get this splash and go out and grab those chicks right off the street.
Were you kidding?
No, I sold a bunch of those trucks.
Okay.
It was the single guys. I thought it was a cool looking truck.
There's a few questions about the Bronco. I think you guys mean the upcoming Bronco, but But we don't know much. We just have
Right.
one teaser image
Yeah.
where it's a square thing.
We know a lot less about the Bronco than anything else we're looking at from Ford.
Yes, and it's coming in 2020, so we're
Yeah.
still a little bit away from that. Juan says, Kent, where's your hat?
Well, we're inside.
Yeah, we're inside.
And the hat, I love the hats, but so many trucks, the headrest is in the way, and you've been helping me just flip the headrest around. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm trying to figure that out. I hate to take the back of my hat and chop it off because that's what a lot of cowboys do to fit these trucks. So right now I'm inside, so I'm not wearing the hat, but I'm working on that because it's hard to get small enough crown, small enough brim to fit these headrests. I think we can just take them all out, make headrests go away. But anyway.
So we prepared a few questions. So you guys have sent us questions at Ask@TFL and we actually want this live show when we do an Ask Mr. Truck
Yes.
or an Ask TFL. We want a lot of your questions being answered here. This is kind of the best forum we have.
Yeah,
And we can
yeah.
do the most.
It doesn't give me enough time to think about answers, but I'll try.
Well, I can dance while you think.
Okay.
But we prepared a few questions to kick things off a little bit more. So Brad Evans is asking about the 2019 Silverado. I was wondering if this 19 Silverado automatic tailgate button on the dash has a lockout feature. What if it's pushed by mistake while I'm towing? For example, a child or a family member pushes it by mistake, the tailgate comes down and hits my trailer jack, and now the tailgate is damaged.
Yeah, that's true, and that's a good question. I know I wasn't worried about a gooseneck, but it's a half-ton class, so not need to worry about it much. So that would be a good thing to do when you get that truck, is to go out and try it and see if there's enough room between you and the tailgate. Or we have those jacky ups we use. We take the jack clear out of the way so we know that wouldn't hit it. I mean, that's an option too, the jacky up jack holder. But I have not. They did not say that there's a lockout, and that's the thing with these events. I mean, once in a while you go there and they'll start giving you information. Most of the time you got to pull it out of them. You got to slap them silly. You got to get them back there and and to get information. They don't volunteer it. You got to think of all this stuff, and they
Right.
didn't volunteer anything about the tailgate. But I guess we'll find out. We're going to the GMC launch next. We can ask them there.
Yeah, that's a great
Let's
question.
Write
Brad.
that down. We're going to ask them at the
Right.
next launch,
And
which
we
is a
have
week
that.
away.
And I remember that a lot of somebody asks about greasing your frame.
Yeah.
The new frames come greased.
They-
A lot
yeah,
of people are very
yeah.
worried about rust.
Yeah, we talked about that. I thought, it's not really. I mean, you can go buy a can of that stuff and go underneath there and spray it yourself. Much cheaper than what a dealership would do it for you. But yeah, and it's probably not on top of my head because I'm in Colorado. We don't have a big rust issue. If you were back east or by the ocean, you might have to worry about it more. But I don't think all the stuff that they try to tell you to do to those is worth it. But there's a pretty thick coating on those GMs. When you remember my shirt when I was climbing underneath there,
It was already dirty.
I had
It was
grease
already-
all over my shirt. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty thick on there. So I'm not worried about it. But if you are, you can buy the cheap stuff. Go down to your local parts store and buy a can of that. And climb
depends
underneath
on
there
where you
and
live,
spray
kind
it.
of,
Yeah.
as well.
You don't really worry about spraying the sheet metal, but just spray the regular metal. And
Underneath.
yeah, and I'm not even sure if they galvanize that because it's high strength steel that they use in there, and that's a boxed metal. So it should be good. You should be able to coat it without worrying about spraying on the inside and all over the place. So that's how I do it.
Yeah, and by the way, somebody was asking about horsepower on the Ranger. We don't know that, but the 2019 Ford Ranger starts at $25,395. We have a full video about that
Right.
on TFL Truck YouTube channel.
That's a
And
super cab, regular bed.
two-wheel
two-wheel
drive.
drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you want actually a Lariat 4x4 crew cab, that one starts at $39,480. So
Holy
you're
cow.
pushing 40
That's the
grand.
top. Yeah, it's the top
And
end.
in the TFL Truck video, I actually add all the options.
Yeah.
So you got to watch that video to find out.
That's true, and that $40,000 mark is not where I'd buy one at. But I mean, you see a lot of Colorado Canyons, Tacoma, they're all out there. But Frontier is still that bargain basement price. But yeah,
Look at Juan. He says, everybody write in capital letters so Kent can read it.
there you go. I can read that one. Hey Juan,
No,
Catalina,
don't
okay.
encourage it all capitals.
Oh man, I can't read these other ones. In bold, meaning bold, and giant letters. What are these small screens? My laptop's like this wide at home.
Oh my gosh. So somebody's asking about Jackie Up. Jack Yap is a system we use for the trailer jack, where you can actually twist and
Right.
remove the jack leg
Yeah.
itself, so the trailer tongue is really clean.
Right,
There's
right.
nothing sticking out.
Eliminates that problem of hitting the tailgate or the lift gate on an SUV.
Right.
We use them all the time.
So we
on
use
that
them
cargo mate.
during our iGauntlet runs.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
always use that. So second question is coming to us from JD Garrett. He's asking 2019 Ram Rebel or a 2019 Ram Power Wagon, or when he walks into the dealer, which one should he get?
Well, that's a good question because now the towing capacity is about the same, or maybe even a little more for the
Yeah,
Rebel.
the Ram half ton is
Yeah.
actually boosting it over 11,000 pounds.
Which I mean, and everybody's doing that in their half tons. They're hitting that 11,000. Oh, I'm sorry, it must be Donald or somebody important. Oh,
Trek Days is asking, Andre, why only one sock when you slept in your Hummer during your 5th anniversary video?
one sock.
I had one sock
Oh,
in the...
it's kind of personal, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Oh, he was drunk out of his mind that night. I don't blame him for not remembering.
No, I wasn't drunk. We were tired. We drove all day.
Yes, we were tired. We were tired.
And the Hummer is not ultra comfortable because I have to sleep diagonally.
Yes.
Because it doesn't quite, I don't quite
Man,
fit in there.
You could have gotten my trailer.
So
Everybody else was in there, but you
I'm
and Nathan.
sorry. I'm sorry about that. One sock that was a bad experience.
Yeah, and made a little funny smell too. So But,
Chris says we need to have a diet contest and lose weight. Well, that's a little bit personal.
well, this is a large investment.
You're a heavy duty
And
reporter.
I can't just throw it away. I'm gonna have to have a lot of money wrapped up in this, and I'm not so sure that would work.
I'm sorry, we got derailed. So 2019 Ram Rebel tows about just over 11,000 pounds rating.
Right.
The Power Wagon tows around 10,000 because of
Yeah.
its suspension system.
Yeah.
The Power Wagon starts about 52,000
Uh-huh.
for a base model. The Rebel starts about 49, and you can build it up.
Yeah, that's a very close comparison. And of course, you got the disconnecting anti-sway bar on the Ram Power Wagon. You also have the winch on the Power Wagon. It's a bigger truck, and I don't know. I think the crew cab on the Rebel is probably bigger now. They
Yeah, it
get
is,
bigger.
yeah.
So you got more room on the Rebel, and the Rebel's got that gorgeous interior. But it just comes down to a lot of that. If you're towing all the time, the Power Wagon has a full floating axle, which means it's got 8 lugs on the back, but there's 2 bearings on each side on the outside of the axle housing, where the other one is a semi-floating, which has 1 bearing on the inside to ride on the axle shaft. So the weight on a semi-floating is right on the axle shaft. On the full floating axle, it's on the housing, so it's very strong. So if you're towing that maximum weight, I would go with the Power Wagon. But see, that's the thing. Half tons now, they're all rating 11, 12,000 pounds, and they really shouldn't. But that's that's the game they're playing, like the torque wars in the heavy duty. So it depends. I think that 3/4 ton it's a heavier built. It's going to last longer, but it's not going to ride as nice. And is there air ride option on the Power Wagon like there is on the 1500 on the Rebel?
Not that I'm aware of. They have the
Coil,
the coils.
progressive coil.
Yeah, the coils on the Power Wagon.
So you get so that's a lot of decisions to make there.
Well, here's my take on it. I think so when I drove the Rebel and the Power Wagon back to back in Arizona a couple years ago, you have to kind of pick your line off road in the Rebel. So you have to look at your obstacles and kind of calculate it, and the Rebel does it. The same obstacles on the Power Wagon, you don't really have to worry as much about it. You just gotta go straight, and the Power Wagon takes care of everything. No rubbing, it's really powerful off-road. Of course, it's a heavier truck.
It is much heavier, so that's another thing to look at. Matt Lopez brought up that it's a 6.4, so it's the big Hemi.
Yes.
And it's not the 5.7, but the 5.7 has a cooler exhaust note, so of course you can make aftermarket exhaust on
your
Power
Power Wagons. Yep.
So yeah, that's a good question, but that's a lot of preferences there. It's really hard, it's like there's a couple things we can't do. We can't be your mechanic and analyze what's wrong with something. And we have to have a lot of preferences to be really good about telling you which truck we would go with. That's why we're generalizing this. And we probably haven't answered your question, so it depends on how heavy your trailer and how often you're pulling the trailer, in my opinion.
Yeah, and depends on what are you prioritizing. You're prioritizing off-roading the most,
Right.
comfort, or towing.
Yeah.
So I think the Rebel is more comfortable.
It is.
I mean, it's a bigger truck.
If it's a family
Interior.
truck flying down the road, I think you'll be happier with the Rebel in that case.
Right, and some of the other questions. if you go to the Ford website for the Ranger, it's under future vehicles. So under trucks, it doesn't quite appear yet. But if you go to future, you can build a Ranger, so you can see it for yourself over there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that they sent us a configurator.
Mr. Chuck needs to do live streams on his channel. When are you going to do live streams on your channel?
Okay, if soon as I get this giant garage and this big crew of producers and cameramen and you, see, that's a lot. That's an expensive thing. I don't have all these editors, and I have one computer, and these guys have everything.
So that's why you're coming over here.
But I have donuts in my house. Yeah.
Donuts?
Yeah, and that producer looks hungry, so I'll give him a. See that?
Oh, you have a donut.
There's your donut.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. So let's move on to the next question.
But I do have donuts in my house if these guys want to come over there and do a live show.
Real donuts?
Yes. Well, that wasn't a real donut. It splattered all over whatever car that is.
It bounced off something.
Okay.
Dan is asking, what size camper can I tow? And there's a very specific example here. It's a fifth wheel camper, a 39-foot Keystone Sprinter. The shipping weight is 11,395 pounds. So what does that mean? That means basically the dry weight of the trailer?
That is dry weight, yeah, because you've got to add propane, water, all the beach
gear.
balls, everything in the back of that
Beach
camper.
balls?
Yeah, don't they weigh a lot anyway? Yes.
The hitch weight on this trailer is 2,340.
Okay.
And then has a 2017 Ford Super Duty F250.
You've got my notes.
3/4 ton. What is this?
Well, I wrote my notes down, and you gave me a blank piece of paper.
Okay. So his truck is a 2017 Ford F250 diesel crew cab with a short box, 6 3/4 foot. And his question is, can I tow that trailer with my truck? So we looked up the specs on this.
I know. Yes, you can. Yes.
You
we
can?
looked up this. Yes.
Is that a short answer?
Yes, that's a short answer because we figured out that, well, you and your computers figured out that the payload could be up to 3,700 pounds.
Yes.
Okay, and so his pin weight is 2,340. So there's a big gap, and then we think that he's hauling about 1,300 pounds of stuff. I have no idea what his wife weighs. So anyway, we're kind of estimating. So you take the 13 and you add it to the pin weight, and you're still under that number. So you're about 2,400 pounds. We think is going to be your payload, which and payload and cargo. So it's all got it all, pin weight, payload. So you're actually got a little more room. You can probably add another can of beer, but there you go. I think that will work. I mean, you're very close, but that's how these fifth wheel campers are. Even when they figure out tire sizes and everything about them and ratings, they go down to the last pound. Mm-hmm. There's not much room for that. So we'll follow what the trailer companies are doing and say, yeah, that's fine. Go with that.
So two things I would say to Dan, just to add. Yeah, don't worry about that.
Okay.
Oh, did your screen just change?
I didn't touch, but it says streaming status bad, so I don't know.
Do we have a bad quality of the stream? Can you guys hear us?
Those guys are shaking their hands. Look at it. I'm going to feed the cameraman now, too.
You rang the bell.
I'm sorry. Oh, geez, I almost hit him.
Wow, you're destroying our studio, dude.
Yep, I am. Well, I want to bring it to my house so I can have live streaming, too.
So Chase says, where are all the super chats? We're not making any money today. Well, we don't know.
That's right. Where's the money?
Don't ring the bell.
Don't ring the bell. I'm
We
giving
ring the
free
bell.
donuts. That's all I can do.
We ring the bell when you guys help us out with donations, but you guys don't have to donate. We just want to answer your
Sure they
questions.
do, man. This takes money. This is expensive. Look how big this place is.
Yeah, if Roman was here, he would say, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, but here's my take on this question. First of all, look in the door jamb of your Super Duty
Yes.
and double check the tire sticker, that yellow and white sticker for your exact payload rating. Make sure it is really 3,700. If it's not, just do the calculation. And when you load your fifth wheel with all your stuff, maybe just go to the scale.
Well, sure.
Run over a scale at the truck stop.
And that's how you also get your pin weight. You get all those numbers and find out what's going on. And then, it's really good to know that gross axle weight rating, the Gower, the rear Gower, because you don't want to go over that. That's how things last a long time if you stay from those ratings.
That's why, we explain a lot of that in our book, Truck Nuts book.
Yes, everybody should have Truck Nuts book. If you don't have one, I don't know what to tell you. You should be buying these right now.
TruckNutsBook.com.
I'm sure it's on sale on Amazon.
Yeah, it's on sale. There are links over there, TruckNutsBook.com. So we talk a lot about specifically those questions, fifth wheel towing. Do you have any other questions coming in the chat?
Somebody's going to break somebody's kneecaps about something on here.
Oh my gosh, no, let's not do that.
Oh, they want to know if I'm going to buy ZR2. Well, I would love... Oh, look at that! $5! That's 5 times. 4, 3, 2, 1. We got money coming in now. We got cash flow. We're going to survive. Merry Christmas.
This is our buddy Chase. Chase? He lives nearby.
Yes.
Chase, thank you so much for your donation. I'm going to put your name on the board. Are the manual windows and locks as an option on the new Ranger? That's what I found. That's what I would want for an Overlander. So
Yeah,
not complicated stuff, but basic stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know that on their work trucks, the next size up, you go to the XL, you still have power door locks and windows.
Well,
You have
we
tilts,
haven't driven a new Ranger
cruise.
yet.
So I would be surprised if they didn't have it, but that would be a good idea if they could really get that down cheap, where these things should be, with manual door locks and windows. I mean, my goodness, you can reach the other door. Holy cow.
Track days, $5 more.
Oh my gosh, there we go. We're moving now. We're up to $10.
We're moving and shaking.
Why doesn't that say $4.99? What is this stuff? We have all this $49.99, but we don't have $4.99.
It depends. Chase helped us out. So I'm
Cool.
going to put Chase name here. Track days helped us out.
Look, it says I'm the only one who owns a truck. I think I'm not. I got 4 trucks, but don't you guys own trucks?
I have a Hummer H2 right now.
Well, it's almost a truck, yeah.
It's got a frame.
And Roman owns a truck. He owns that was 84
Big green.
Big
remember?
green.
That's a trucky truck.
And he asked me about ZR2. ZR2 I'd love to have, but I'm not sure it's on my list because of the fuel mileage drop and a few other things on that. I loved that truck when it came out, and I really like it, but I think I've got to get better fuel mileage. So I have to go with the regular Colorado or Canyon or this Ranger. Because I just found out one of my relatives passed away, so I got a funeral to go to in California now. And that's why I'm thinking about a truck with better fuel mileage and cheaper so I can afford to go to all these nursing homes and all things that's in my future. Well, my nursing home too. So I need something that gets really good fuel mileage.
So there are a few questions in the chat room, so let's address some of that. So Chase, we'll double check on the manual windows for you, and we'll let you know. I think that's an option. I mean, I think that's the base.
Yeah, it would make sense.
But I'm not 100% sure.
Because you can crank that window up just, from your seat.
It's a smaller truck.
You've done that, when that's how it was in a Frontier you had for 6 months.
Yes, it's
Goodness.
a smaller truck.
Yes,
and
you can reach
it
all this
starts
stuff.
at, what, 25 grand, which is still a lot of money, but I know. Let's touch on a few questions really quick. JORV Vega 123 says, is TFL coming to Texas State Fair?
Of course.
Of course we are.
That's
We're
part of our
always at
regiment.
the
We always
State
go
Fair
there.
of
We
Texas.
love Texas. We go there and get those because the corn dogs.
It's at the end of September.
Yes.
Corn dogs we love.
We hit the.
I'm sorry, there's an interruption.
Holy cow!
Look, we've got mics now. So I have some news.
Yes.
So when Andre taps out at 4:30, Roman's gonna tap in.
Can I explain that really
Is that a
quick?
wrestling match?
It is.
Tap in and out.
But I have to pull a car out here, so there may be some background noise.
Are you
Okay.
kidding me?
Not getting you. It's hailing.
Guys, here's what's happening today. At 4:30.
Well, get my truck. Jeez, now they're throwing food at me. What kind of place is this?
At 4:30,
Oh,
guys.
you got real food there. You don't throw me the. Holy cow!
Guys, at 4:30.
Oh, jeez, look at that. Hit the back of the
You
head.
hit him in the back of the head.
That guy was pretty important too, wasn't he?
Dougie Doo says Mr. Trucks makes this fun. So
Oh,
thank you,
cool.
Mr. Fair.
Well, certainly.
We're
We
coming
should
to the
have
State
fun.
Fair of Texas because there's a lot of truck news happening there usually, and I'm anticipating some news. I don't know exactly what,
Yeah,
but there's a big question here from Maria Miranda, who says, when is the Super Duty Ford getting a 7-liter V8?
Now, who in the world knows that?
So there's a rumor that the Super Duties are getting this 7-liter big V8 that's going to be built at the Windsor factory in Canada. We don't know. We don't have an official word on this yet, right? From Ford.
Yeah, that would. Isn't there some kind of a trade thing going on with Canada? Or what's that going to cost the tariffs to bring that
I
puppy
have
over?
no idea the complications of that.
Do you know what else was invented at Texas State Fair?
What?
Short shorts and tank tops. That's where they were invented. That's the
And
patent.
the best hot.
Oh,
corn
holy cow! There's money. There's money.
Donkey Stomper says, "Keep up the good work."
See, that's 9.99.
Thank you. That's $10.
don't have a
That's
4.99.
really, really great. So here's the other question. The answer about the 7-liter. In 2020 model year,
Yes.
every major manufacturer is updating their heavy-duty trucks.
Yes.
There's a
Big
Ford.
year next year.
Yeah.
Big year.
Ford is updating the Super Duty, and I'm going to talk a little louder because Tommy is making a lot of noise in the background.
Tommy, quit. Sit down. Be good.
So the 2020 Ford Super Duty is coming, right?
Yes.
Then the Ram is redesigning their heavy-duty truck,
Right.
and GM is redesigning their heavy-duty
It's
truck.
going to be the year of the heavy duty. Now, this was the year of the half ton. Next year is the big boys. So it's
And-
going to be a great Detroit Auto Show.
And we're going to test all of them.
Wonder if they'll be at the
And-
Texas State Fair with any of that
I
stuff.
think so. Boom, boom, boom. 10 more bucks.
Holy cow, we're rolling now. Good
Juke
gosh.
13. Juke 13. Let me.
Why
so
would, why
he
would they
says,
allow cars in this garage? This is truck talk. What is that thing?
Juke 13 says, Ford, we want a manual transmission and a new Bronco. I know it won't happen, but I really want it. yes, we agree with you because the Jeep Wrangler has a manual option.
Yeah.
So why not put it in the Bronco?
And the Ranger should have one too. I mean, we're
And-
not used to those in those little trucks.
Yes, we don't know. It's unlikely, right?
Yes, that seems to be the future. Just like they took the manuals away from all the other trucks.
13.
That
Let
seems
me
to be
write
that.
you guys' name really
Holy
quick.
cow. Look at it. There's a $10 and a $9.99. How does that
Jeep
work?
13. So that's really important.
Look at that.
So guys,
Is that
what's
another
happening?
truck? What is this? Is this a car?
I don't know. Let's focus.
Okay.
At 4:30, I have to go to a parent-teacher conference. My daughter is starting 5th grade, and I have to meet the teachers. So I'm really sorry that I have to leave, but Roman is here, and he's gonna tap in like a wrestling match,
Now,
and he's gonna take over.
Is that a good idea for you to meet her teachers?
Well, yeah, we have to talk to the teachers.
Okay, I just thought you let your wife do it. You'd stay home because you may scare them. Those teachers.
I wanna be involved.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, you're a good dad. You can get involved.
So they're making so much noise. I cannot believe how much noise they're making.
Yeah. Tommy, sit down. and Be quiet.
These guys are just incredible.
Sorry.
Oh, hey,
Roman.
Hey,
Hey,
sorry.
are you eating my donut?
Your donut. That's
Well,
a nice donut,
I
dude.
know. I got another one floating around here somewhere.
Get to your teacher's conference.
So are you
on
ready
time.
to tap in?
I'm ready to
Okay.
tap in. Let's finish
So
this.
we're in question 4 here.
All right, let's go.
Kinetic
What do you
dynamic
wanna join?
suspension.
As long as I've got Kent here, I'm
Okay,
good.
that's right. We'll make something up.
Guys, just it's a small musical break. There's no music, but okay. Thank you very much.
Hey, great to be here, Kent.
We're at question
Cool.
4. We're at question 4.
We have Toyotas.
Yes, we should. About 1,400 pounds of payload left. Is that where we're at? Okay, I agree.
Thank you, guys.
Did we bring you donuts?
No, you didn't, so I brought my own.
You brought your own.
I was
feel
trying to get
terrible
my
about that,
producer's
Kent.
attention, and the camera guy's falling asleep. So every once in a while, you got to hit him in the head with something.
All right, number 4. Wendy asks, should I buy the Kinetic dynamic suspension on my 4Runner KDSS? That's that's a dynamic suspension that you can get on the 4Runner as well as a Lexus. Is it worth the extra money?
$1,000.
$1,000, man. That's a lot of money.
Now, see, I think the one now just disconnects your anti-sway bar. Is that correct?
Yes.
Because the original one, I was in Yellowstone with the original one on the Land Cruiser, and they bought that system from a company. It was either New Zealand or Australia, and theirs would disconnect the anti-sway bar, and it would get you out of a ditch. You didn't touch anything. It would rock you back and forth in a snow hole, a mud hole, any hole you want to get into, and it would get you out all by itself. It was wonderful. But I don't think that complicated one is out now. So that one I would pay $1,000 for, and it was called the same thing, the KDSS. And so now it's different. It's less for $1,000. So I'm not into that.
So Wendy says, still undecided, drove off-road premium, which felt much more responsive than the SR5 without. Dealer didn't have off-road premium without to compare. Seems the KDS keeps the truck from nosediving, very hard, braking, and somewhat more responsive laterally. So, it's really a question about how important is dynamic suspension.
Right.
And, that's kind of like the answer is right here on the donut, right?
Yeah.
It's how important is, the pink frosting to you. It doesn't make the donut necessarily any better.
Yeah.
It doesn't give it more calories.
No.
Maybe it gives it a little bit more calories. Doesn't make it any, different, but it's just a nice frosting on top of the donut. So I think dynamic suspension is fine. You don't need it.
Yeah.
You can live
$1,000.
without it. It's a lot of money. I love my donuts plain. If you love your donuts with frosting, then go for it. If you've got the extra $1,000.
Now you got hold that still because that's my vertigo one. See, it'll hypnotize you.
Yeah, like the
it's a
Hypno
Vertigo.
Toad
But
on Futurama.
But this one is automatic, so it automatic will disconnect itself, measuring the wheel travel. So it's got some cool features. It's just whether it's worth $1,000. That's where I hang on it.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
It's a lot of money.
It
And
is.
You
You could buy lots of lizards for that. For $1,000.
We're not gonna go there.
Lots of them.
we're not going to go there. And good God, it took less than 4 minutes for you to go there with me on the show.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And the other thing I would say is, I like old school off-roading. I like
Yeah.
high departure, high clearance, good approach, good departure, locking diffs. All that stuff to me is much more important. And if it were my money, I'd rather spend $1,000 on a winch
Well, there you go.
when you get stuck versus on the funky suspension.
The old school teaches you how stuff works.
Yes.
And how to use it. The other stuff, you have no idea what's going on. It just drives.
All right, number 5. You ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay, that's from Jeff.
Yes, that's right. He had he's got a TJ Unlimited Rubicon as his daily driver,
Yep.
and he wants to replace it with a truck and then build a TJ up.
Yeah, let me read the question. So Jeff asks, is the GMC Sierra Denali enough truck to build a Jeep through the mountains? Actually, a built Jeep through the mountains. I just moved to the suburbs of Denver. Well, welcome to Colorado, and have a bone stock 2005 TJ Unlimited Rubicon as my daily driver, which is not a great tow vehicle. I'm going to replace it with a truck and a built TJ up for trail rig. With 35s, factory D44 axles, nothing wild. D44s are pretty wild. Should weigh about 5,500 pounds with a hardtop, 6,000 pounds max. Because I live in the burbs and park in a parking garage at work, I'm trying to stay away from a 2500.
Yes.
So he doesn't want the big heavy-duty truck. I'm looking for a used 1500 that has enough towing capacity to tow a TJ on a trailer in the real world from Denver to Moab over I-70. So you're going over the I-Gauntlet. So he's going over some pretty steep grades. He's going up to about 11,000.
Right.
The 1500 max tow looks good, but are super rare to find used. The GMC Sierra Denali 1500 might have enough capacity to be safe and comfortable towing over the mountains. Question mark. Looking at the 8-speed autos, so late models are okay. Trailer weight 2,700 pounds. So 2,700 pounds
Plus 6,000.
plus 8,500. That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, well, we looked it up. Andre did, and Andre took off with the numbers in his head, so now we'll have to make up something. But anyway, he looked up a 4 or 5 year old one, so that really is not where it was. But that was over 9,000 pounds. The new ones can get up there over 11,000 pounds
Of towing capacity.
of towing capacity, and he needs 8,700. So he can get one there, and for what he describes this, I think he could do that. And if he's going to buy like a 2-year-old one with an 8-speed. And he's got enough towing capacity, and especially at Denali, it'll have like a 6.2
Yeah.
with a 342 rear end. I think he's all set. I think that's a good plan.
I think a GMC is a mighty fine-looking truck.
Oh,
so
it's a sexy beast.
it's a sexy beast. So I'm with Kent on this one, Jeff. Go for it, man, and enjoy that built TJ. Yeah, exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
are we going to go off questions off the screen?
Yes, let's go.
Look, he loves us. He loves Roman and Kent.
I'll read them off to you, okay? Michael Curtis, who is one of our
Michael Curtis.
That's
I've
one
heard
of
of
our
that
guys.
guy.
He's asking, or maybe it's a different Michael Curtis. Mr. Truck, can you please explain quadristeer? No, that's our Michael. He
Well,
knows you love quadristeer. I'm curious about
quadristeer-
buying it early.
Go to the Denali.
Michael, you are in trouble. Meet me after the show.
Well, he probably wants to buy one because he borrowed my truck last week, so now he needs to get the real thing. And there's some funny things he left behind my seat, but I'm not sure what they are. The Denali was born with quadristeer. I think it was in 1994 or whatever it was.
So for all of
2004.
you who don't know, quadristeer is its ability to steer the front and rear wheels.
Right.
It's a GM product, and the trucks have a longer. You can tell them they're pretty rare. When you see them going down the road, you can immediately identify them because they have a wider fenders and
and axles and all that. So they got the little clearance lights on the top. They made a Suburban like that too.
Yep.
And I love them. And like I say, Denali was born with it, and that had that high output 6-liter when it first came out. And the quadristeer was wonderful. I actually built a website, and Delphi, who builds this for GM,
Yep.
was my sponsor. And we took a trailer, took it up Pikes Peak. We did barrel racing with it. We did all kinds of things. I did several videos in the old days, and I loved it. And it was so automatic. It was like an old Case tractor. It had crab steer and then the circle steer. So with a trailer on there, you could not make a trailer sway. I love that. I actually helped some GM dealers understand it because they were all out there doing these little parking exercises. Yeah, it'd be easier to park the way it maneuvered around. But it was the big thing that impressed the heck out of you. You put a trailer on, you push the button, shut it off, and you're swerving all over the place. If you're trying to do dips and dives, you push the button, you could not make it sway. It was so controllable. And it was made so you had, like when you were in a parking spot, it would crab steer to get you out of there better. It would do all these different things automatically. Going through a car wash, it would automatically line itself up. It was just wonderful, and it was so good, and it irritates me that it went away because it was a great idea. It would help so much in the industry. But what killed them is they came out with it in Denali, and it was like a $7,000 option. Well, and then when they would go to I went to the Quarter Horse Congress in Ohio, and we set up to try to do demonstrations with it. And the dealers there were trying to, they would put a dually next to it, and the dually diesel would cost the same as a quadristeer half-ton.
Yeah, it's not going to sell.
Yeah,
It's too much.
and that's what killed them. And then they did this 2 or 3 years. The last year, they finally got it down to where it was like less than $2,000 as an option. It made sense.
Yep.
And I told him, and when I talk to the marketing guy, he says, look, think of a drug dealer. They don't start you out high, they start you out low, and then they build up the price.
Where do you get these analogies?
Well, this is true. This is there's a lot to be learned from porn. If you're watching enough porn,
Oh, for
you learn
God's
so
sakes,
much
Ken.
about marketing.
Ken,
anyway,
next question.
back-
All right, we're going back to the next question.
the quadrants.
Brandon says, how come, Roman, you do not own a truck? Do I own a truck, Ken?
Yes, you do.
I own
You
a
have
truck?
yeah, Big Green. Why do you keep saying
Yeah, what are you
that?
talking about, dude?
Big
It's
Green.
parked right out there.
It's a truck that doesn't even hood because
It's
you
a-
work on it so
it's
much.
a-
You just
it's
take the hood off, throw it away.
It's a man's truck. It's a proper truck. It rides like a goat. It steers like a go-kart. And
I like
it
that.
sounds like it sounds like God laughing. It sounds that good.
It does.
Yeah,
it
does sound
It's-
good. When it runs.
That's the trucks I grew up
You know,
with.
you know
so.
what? I think we're gonna have to go back to the Holly. Get rid of that crappy. We put some throttle body
Yes.
fuel injection into it, and it did not make things better. So
From what I hear, it's the pump. You got to get a different pump company. I
Yeah.
mean, you're so close to it now because that throttle body is expensive. I think go with a different pump.
all right, people are asking. Want to know some more questions? How come no one has seen a Bronco yet testing? That's a really good question because
That's true.
we usually get the Broncos, the new prototype vehicles, at least a year, maybe even a year and a half before they actually hit the dealerships, and we have not seen one.
That's true. We got the best place to test them.
Yeah,
and you're at
we've not seen
7%
one.
grades, 11,000 feet. How do you beat that?
That's a really
four
good question,
lanes.
and I wish I knew the answer to that. But somebody's very astute. People want to know. Let's see here. Somebody's talking about the Bronco. Will it compete against the 4Runner and the Jeep? Yes, I hope so. We hope it's going to be
Sure.
not like the Blazer. We
That's
hope
what
it's going to be actually body on frame or something like that. Probably not body on frame. Probably unibody, but nevertheless, hopefully it won't be a warmed over crossover.
No, I know that's kind of like that Blazer.
You listening, Ford?
Well, yeah, we learned that from Blazer with GM for what their new Blazer looks like.
Yeah. Most, and I had a long conversation with the guys at GM, and they made some good points. I still think that should have been a body-on-frame truck.
Yeah, everybody likes a little bit of heritage in them when they bring something back.
Oh, this is a good one. I saw The Rock driving one in the movie. Guys, oh my God, we get that email at least once a week. Somebody saw The Rock driving a Bronco, and it's an old prototype that they built for the movie that was shown at an auto show, and it's not the prototype Bronco. Don't be confused. It's a one-off movie car. It may look like the Bronco, but it's not the Bronco.
Yeah. What we have seen of them, they're all square. I really like them. They're kind of like your Bronco you had with that half cab.
Yep.
I like that look.
So people want to know, is there a Bison coming? You know what the Bison is?
Well, there's a trader called Bison. Well,
You don't know what the Bison is. Bison is like the next level of ZR2.
yeah.
So is there going to be kind of a more upscale ZR2 coming?
Well, what else are they going to add to it to make it upscale? I thought they can get a pretty fancy one now.
They've seen them testing. It's kind of an overlanding rig. It's supposed to be the next level. So we don't know. As soon as we know something, we'll publish it up on TFL Truck. But right now, I would say we don't know.
Is it still a midsize?
Yeah, it's still midsize.
Okay.
I have a question
Okay.
for you guys though. I was talking to Ford, and Kent knows about this, and we have the opportunity, Kent, me and you, to fly down to either New Zealand or Australia and drive the new Ranger
Raptor.
Raptor. Yeah,
Diesel. It's a
Ford-
diesel.
Ford said that they would get us a truck. They're not going to
good.
pay for our tickets. They're not going to pay for none of that, but they will sort out a truck. So the question is, for you guys, let me know, should we fly down there? Because I'd love to see Kent on one of the beaches in Australia. I think that would be actually really fun.
Yeah, there's that topless beach I heard
Yes,
down
I
there.
know. I know. So I'd love to see you in Australia.
Oh.
So the first question is, should we go? Because it's going to cost a lot of money and a lot of time, right? You don't
Yes.
fly to Australia for one night.
No, it's a 2-day trip. What, 12 hours, 14 hours?
Yeah, and then if it's a Ranger Raptor, we're going to have to go off-road.
Yes.
Right? So,
yes.
and I know Australia has a lot of great off-roading, but not necessarily near Sydney where we fly, right?
Right.
So it's a big country. I mean, it's going
That's
to be,
true.
we're looking at least maybe a 2-week commitment, 10
Probably.
days to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's the first question. Should we go fly down there and drive it? Because it's not the truck that we're going to get. We're never going to get the diesel. You know that.
Well, yeah, probably not.
No, probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. I'm hoping we'd get 2.7 EcoBoost. That's what I'm hoping, because right now
That-
the Ranger comes with the
That would make sense.
with
I
the
would go
smaller
for that. Yeah.
EcoBoost. But we're probably not going to get the diesel. So yes, here we go. And 2, this is the one for you guys. If we go, we want to drive more forbidden fruit, right? So what other trucks do they have either in Australia or New Zealand that we don't get here in America?
Yeah.
That we should line up? So I'm thinking like the Hilux. Hopefully trucks that compete
Toyota. Yeah.
with the Ranger Raptor. So maybe a Hilux, maybe some sort of a Suzu,
Yeah.
maybe
that Holden, the El Camino thing, whatever that is.
some Utes, some Aussie
Yeah,
Utes,
yeah.
maybe an Amrock. Let
Yeah.
us know in the comments below what you'd like us to drive and if we should go down to Australia, because it's going to take a huge commitment. We got to bring a video crew. It's expensive and it's
Yeah.
time consuming, and we're not sure. Are you guys interested in seeing the TFL review the Australian version of the Raptor Ranger?
Yeah, now Hilux, I think, is such a big thing down there.
Navara. Somebody said the Navara. The X Class.
yeah.
I actually have an X Class story. You know that?
You do?
Yeah. So the X Class is a rebranded Nissan Navara in Europe. Mercedes basically has a partnership with Nissan, and they took
Right.
well, it's our Frontier, but it's not. It's a different truck, the Navara, and they created the X Class out of it. So when I was in Europe to pick up Tommy this summer, I worked really hard with Mercedes to try to set up a review of the X Class. And you know what happened?
Well, go ahead, what?
Thank you, Pete. We'll get your name on the board in a second. So what happened was, I called up Mercedes and I said, I'm going to Europe, love to drive the X Class. And they said, let's check with the corporate people. And they said, nope, won't let you drive it. But I did not take
Really?
no for an answer. Because that's not what we do here at TFL.
Well,
You know
that's
that.
good. That's good.
So I flew to Europe, I went to Munich, and we went to one of these giant corporate Mercedes-Benz dealerships. So unlike here, they actually belong to Mercedes, right?
Right.
In Munich, and this is like the 4 floors. They have like pre-owned vehicles on the ground floor, then they have like classic Mercedes on the second floor, new Mercedes. It's way cool. I think they had at least 100 Mercedes.
Wow.
And of course, one of them they had was the X Class. And I said, I'd like to go test drive one. And they said, yeah, no problem. And I'm like, heck, yeah, let's go do it. And then I thought better of it, because obviously we have a relationship with Mercedes, and, I can't do a video pretending I'm a truck buyer when I'm really not, when I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought about it, and I said, okay, guys, I'm a journalist. And they said, oh, we have to check with corporate. Guess what corporate said?
No.
No.
And you took no that time? No, you don't take no for an answer.
My choice was either pretend to be, a German truck buyer or not do it. And
I would have done it.
You would have pretended,
But you like they're
I got to work with Mercedes here in America.
Mercedes,
So
oh,
Mercedes here in America said no, corporate said no. That would have meant that we would have basically, done it without their blessing, which is, I guess, doable. But I also want to drive with a Mercedes at some point.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin your relationship
No.
with them. That would be bad.
No, but it basically is, I don't get it. And maybe there's a story there. Maybe the story is, why would they let me drive it? The question is, why wouldn't they let me drive
Yeah,
the
it's
X-Class?
not like it's a top secret missile or something big like that.
No.
An X Class sounds like Mercedes. That's kind of what I thought, but I don't know. That's so. What are you going to do? We're going to find one of those in Australia too?
We could. I don't know if they sell them in Australia, though. So let us know what trucks you'd want us to drive, and let us know if you want us to go fly down under and actually test drive the Ranger Raptor. Do you want to go, Ken?
I do. They have internet down there and cell phones, or
It works upside down.
oh, okay. Yeah, there's a few questions that have to be answered down there, because I can't leave my public that long. My grandkids, they'd probably all burn the house down. So there's a lot of questions that have to be answered. But I've always wanted to go to Australia. Yeah, that's a big deal to me, and New Zealand would be cool too. But Australia just means outback, tough roads. I think that'd be a better place to do it. But what do I know?
People say to drive a Skoda. I've driven Skodas. Yes.
A what? A
Skoda. Yeah, it's a Czech car. They don't build. They don't build trucks.
Yeah, it takes good stuff in Australia, because it's tough.
All right, before we close up the show, guys, I want to ask Kent the most important question of the week, which Andre didn't ask you, right?
Yeah.
And that is, last time we got together, we could not yet actually talk about how the Silverado drove. But this week we published a video.
Yes.
The embargo is gone.
Yes.
So me and you went and did our first towing. So what did you think of the Silverado, the new 2019 Silverado? Let's hear your Mr. Trucks professional
It's
opinion.
all about that bag of beans. We did that with the 6.2 and the 5.3.
Yeah.
5.3 was lacking a few beans, and the 6.2, we were never disappointed in that thing. Even with a 323 rear end, it still flew around the corner with the trailer. So, in the off-road thing with that 2-inch lift on the Trail Boss, I like that. We had a nice little course there. But, I bottomed out a few times because I was hitting them pretty hard on the logs. But that's awesome. And, it's neat that they, I always thought, well, a 2-inch lift from the factory, what's the big deal? You can go buy all this stuff. But, they tune that. So they got a taller shock tower, taller control arm on the front. They got the spacer on the back, a different a thing that the joist thing hits. And they actually make taller tires on it, taller sidewall, which I'm a fan of tall sidewalls. Part of the suspension, the new ones now have those little tiny wrapper sidewalls. And all that goes in. You got the whole thing engineered, factory warranty. I'm starting to think that I really, like a factory lift, like a Power Wagon. There's so much to be said for that. And now that Chevy's into it, and my Highboy's a factory lift, and all that means the engineers actually played with this truck and came up with the right proper suspension, shocks, everything. So I like that idea. I like the idea of the Trail Boss. I wish it had the 6.2. It has the 5.3. And whether, I don't know, there's 3 configurations of that. There's all these different things you can get with that Trail Boss, but it looks so cool. And you pointed out it looks like a Camaro from the hood about halfway through the grill.
Hey, did you do a video on it? And is it coming to your channel?
Yes, I have 2 videos up.
Okay, so go to Mr. Truck's channel, which is?
MrTruck.com. You just push the YouTube button once you get to MrTruck.com.
And Mr. Truck interviewed about every engineer that was there. So
I got one more video coming.
You're gonna, yeah. What's the last one coming?
But tonight, I'll put it up tonight.
Okay.
I did. I want the from the horse's mouth. So I always like the interview that come from the engineers. They can tell me what's right and what's wrong. And there is, they had the heads-up display and the windshield, all that stuff I love. And the trailer mirror is coming like in December. I think it's a 1-stem, almost like a Ram, but it's the mirror I think is centered on it. And I got that out of them and a few other things. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about on them. There's so many new things coming out. And then we're going to do the GMC, so I'll get a little more information out of them.
All right, so now we've driven basically 3 of the 4 new full-size trucks coming, right? So we've got the newish F-150, we've got the new Ram, we've got the new Silverado. We're still waiting on the GMC.
Yeah.
What are the strengths and kind of weaknesses of all of those? Let's start with the Ford.
Well, the Ford is interesting because, they were the first one to stretch that cab, and then they put it under Super Duty. So you got the bigger cab right off the bat. You got the brake control where it's supposed to be on the right side. You've got all the power and the 10-speed automatic. So a lot of things that are trickling down to the other manufacturers started with Ford, because Ford's big into the trailers. I mean, you whether you like the EcoBoost or not. So
they also got probably right now some of the best engine choices, right? They've got a lot of choices.
Oh, so many engines.
There's diesels, there's turbos.
Yeah,
there's normally aspirated. I mean, there's a lot of engines. So if you value choice, Ford certainly has it.
There's at least 1,400 configurations. I mean, you can get so many choices. It drives you nuts.
So let's talk about the new Ram. The new Ram, of course, has really only 3 2.5 engine choices, right?
Yeah, right. That new e-torque is something that's
the new e-torque, which Andre just drove actually.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, so we're going to have a video that we're going to post on Thursday. So we're going to have that actually ahead of the embargo, believe it or not, because we got it from the dealerships. Thank you very much, Johnson's Corners. Shout out to you for letting us drive that. So that video is coming on Thursday to TFL Truck.
Cool.
There's a 5.7, and then there's the Pentastar. So only three engine choices. What's your take on the new Ram 1500?
Well, the engines is not the big story. I mean, the 8-speed's not the big story, but they, if you looked at the Highway Safety Administration, all those insurance crash tests, GM and Ram both were like last place. Ford was ahead of them, and so both of them have taken initiative of blocking that front wheel from coming into the cabin and all the things that go with that.
An offset test, which is really hard.
Yes, and so that's all improved with them. I mean, Ram is really kicking butt inside the cab with that giant screen.
Yeah, I think Ram has
watch movies.
Ram has set the bar for the interior right now.
Yes, and I love the Rabble interiors. They do. They have a lot of choices, and they're used to be the King Ranch Ford was the big thing. Now I think the Ram interior is the big thing, and I like that. So. They've done a lot to it. They've added the 4 inches, so it's got that bigger back room. It has that reclining seat if you spend all the money and get the top model on it. But so it's really cool. And what they have that General Motors doesn't have yet is that trailer sensing, like what the Ranger just announced. So if you have a trailer behind you, you turn a corner, it measures your trailer. And then Ford has that. Now Ram has it, which is so good, especially if you don't have the towing mirrors where you can't see around your trailer. It's a big deal on safety. And so Ram did that. I was really happy to see that. I used it. I liked it.
And of course, now we have the new Silverado, and I think the Silverado brings a lot of interesting things to the table. Of course, new design. Some people love it. Some people hate it. They bring an electric tailgate that goes both up and down.
That is cool.
That's pretty crazy. And they've got kind of a Rebel competitor, right, with the Trail Boss, so a 2-inch lift from the factory. But the one thing I would say about the Silverado is, they went really mainstream. The styling is a little bit probably controversial, but everything else is kind of right down the middle. And that's what GM does, right? They're not the ones usually pushing the envelope, except for maybe the electric tailgate, which is,
it's out
yeah.
there.
And they've got best in class. And actually, somebody had a really good question today. They asked an electric tailgate. When you have a trailer that's hooked up, and that trailer hitch sticks up, not the trailer hitch, but the trailer, the little crank sticks up high, right? And you lower the tailgate, it'll actually hit it, right? So here's the tailgate, here's the little crank, right? The little feet, boom, it hits it. Well,
Yeah.
Does the trailer, maybe you guys know this, does the tailgate get disabled, the electronic
flip down when you're hooking to a trailer, because if you open that, and what happened with the trucks that we towed, it
Right.
would hit the tailgate would hit that
Right.
little crank.
And we don't know. We talked about using that jack kip and other things. When I get to GMC, I'm going to ask them about that because it's so easy for them electronically to disable that when the ignition's on.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's too. It's another thing. There are all these different things that go on with your truck. There was the theft. They have the theft system on it and all that. So you got to make sure when you hook up to your trailer, you leave the key on, because if you don't, the alarm will go off. So if they can do that, they can certainly disconnect the tailgate when you have that thing either running or in gear or something. So I'm going to ask the GMC, because that'll be the same the cousins,
Yeah.
if they have thought of
When,
that
and when are you driving the GMC?
next week
Next week
in Canada.
in Canada, in Nova
Way up
Scotia.
north. Yes.
Yeah, so,
well,
uh,
not Nova Scotia. The other one,
New-
above
Newfoundland.
Nova Scotia. Newfoundland. Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to be in Newfoundland with Mr. Ken, Stephen, of course, our Canadian correspondent, and Andre will all be there. So on that note, guys, I think we're going to have to continue this conversation because we need to get into the final full-size truck and see how it does.
Okay, cool. Well,
Cool.
he tapped out, you tapped in. Does that mean we arm wrestle, or what do we do?
No,
Indian
we-
leg wrestle? What?
Oh,
we got to do something.
We just say thank you for watching, and be sure to come back. This week we're all gone at the end of the week, so we're going to do another show tomorrow. It's going to be a car show, and then I think we're going to call it done for the week, and we'll be back next week.
Well, how come we have cars in here? Isn't this a truck studio? Every time I look at a bunch of cars
Because
in
you can
here.
fit 3 cars in here about 1 truck.
Okay, well, so it's about what they're worth.
So that's why we have the cars in here and not the trucks
Well,
in
that
here.
camera guy looks hungry.
Yeah, give him a donut.
Look at
Guys,
that, right in
thanks
his
for
mouth.
watching. And remember, if you want your questions answered, come back next time, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Oh, yeah.
Talking
Next
trucks from
Thursday.
4 till whenever,
Yeah.
Mountain Standard Time, and we will answer your questions. And thank you guys for sending in these questions. Hope that we answer them.
Cool.
Let's say howdy doody.
But I'm in Canada next week, so don't expect me to be here.
Somebody will be here.
Buy your
Take
own
care.
damn donuts.
Take care. Happy trails. Bye.
MrTruck.com.